All right, committee, we are now live.
Daniel, Commissioner Young, can you do a mic check?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a quorum? Are we ready to start the meeting?
Sometimes people pop in and filter in, and so we can start if you like.
First, I think we should start with a roll call to see who's present.
Okay. Let me so just start the meeting. All good. Okay.
Yes, we are live.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Asheville Human Relations Commission meeting. I'm Tanya Rodriguez, chair of the HRCA. We're coming to you live from the Cherokee homeland, where the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians remain a sovereign nation to this day. We're streaming live, and you can view the meeting on the City of Asheville YouTube channel. We'll begin our meeting with the roll call of members. When you hear your name, please respond with a quick hello. Please unmute yourself and mute yourself after saying hello. I'll call out each name of the current members in our official roll call. Brandon Oliver, looks like he's not here yet. Commissioner Tiffany Devereaux. Here yet. Commissioner Davidson Jones.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Daniel Young.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Dolores Venable.
Here. Here.
Commissioner Ivan Melchior.
Here.
Commissioner Chris Weinbrenner.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Melanie Noyes.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Veronica Quake.
Here.
Commissioner Susie Chandler.
Present.
Commissioner Will Overfeld. Looks like he's not in here right now.
Chair, I think you're muted.
It looks like Commissioner Will Overfeld, Alfred Green, and Emma Nicole Worthy are not present. I'd like to welcome the staff that's present. Sarah Twilliger,
Hello.
Councilwoman Kim Rooney, and City Attorney Brad Branham. Thank you very much for being here today.
Good evening.
I'd like to ask for May minutes, and if May minutes came in, or if minutes were taken for the May meeting. If not, we can bring that together into the next meeting. And I'd like to read and review the current agenda. Motion to approve June 23rd, 2021 agenda. Can I get a second?
Well, before we do that, are you saying we do not have minutes from the last meeting?
Pardon?
Minutes are available. I have not been able to send them in. I can do that as soon as this meeting is done.
I'd like to hear the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do that as we proceed.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll get that to you as soon as possible. Have everybody read and reviewed our current agenda?
Excuse me, are you saying we're not going to read the minutes? Are we going to read the minutes from the last meeting?
It's my
I'm not entirely
understanding
sure.
from the staff side, we did not receive the draft minutes, so they may not be complete yet. But Melanie, when they are done, if you want to send them to Richard and myself, we can get them added to the committee folder.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if it's in the correct format at this time, but I have it right now. I can send it to you.
And they will remain in draft form until the committee at the next meeting. It sounds like you'll be adopting them.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate that. Does that help, Commissioner Jones?
I don't know if that calls for a motion or not, does it? Want to go forward? There's a question.
I think that might be.
How does this work, Brad?
I think that might be for you, Brad.
Yeah, certainly. Is the question if we're able to move forward or not without approving the minutes from the previous meeting? Is that your question, Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
You are able to move forward with this meeting. At some point, we will need to approve the previous minutes or make any necessary changes in order to approve those, but it can be done at a later meeting. I would suggest practically you don't want to have too many of those pile up before you approve them. But you can wait until the next meeting without having to stall the current meeting. So feel free to proceed at this point.
Thank you, Brad. Has everybody read, moving on to our current agenda, motion to approve June 23rd, 2021 agenda. Can I get a second? 24, pardon me, June 24, 2021 agenda, my mistake.
A second.
Thank you, Commissioner Chandler. Do we need a roll call vote on this, or is that, does a second suffice?
Madam Chair, you will need a roll call on anything you actually take a vote on tonight. However, you do not need a motion to actually approve the current agenda. You can move forward as is without that additional motion.
Thank you very much, Brad. Much appreciated. Moving on to new business. It was recommended to us by city staff to ask for a volunteer timekeeper for our meeting. Would like to introduce that temporary position for this meeting and hope to revolve around the commission for different people to take up a volunteer timekeeper position. Is there anybody that would like to volunteer for that today for our meeting? City staff can volunteer for it too. Would you like to be timekeeper for today, Sarah?
Oh, yes, I can certainly do it today. I can't commit to future meetings. I just don't know who will be the staff liaison moving forward, but certainly today.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sarah. We ask that you please keep your responses to 2 to 3 minutes and make sure everyone has had a chance to speak before speaking again, just to be respectful for the members of the commission and the flow of the meeting. Moving on to our next new item of business, the ordinance. It was suggested that we read our ordinance. Our ordinance is number 4663. There's a link to the ordinance in the chat. Feel free to take a look at the link if you have accessibility to it, to follow along with the ordinance itself. The ordinance is attached to, thank you, Commissioner Chandler. The ordinance is attached to our agenda. And so if you are unfamiliar with our ordinance, please take a look at that, and it will help clear up any questions about what we are here to do and what the Human Relations Commission is about. Ordinance number 4663, ordinance creating a Human Relations Commission of Asheville. Whereas the City Council of the City of Asheville, City Council has the authority pursuant to NCGS 160A-146 to establish boards and commissions to provide orderly and efficient administration of city affairs. And whereas the City Council has the authority pursuant to NCGS 160A-492 to undertake a human relations program and appoint a commission to carry out such program. And whereas the City Council recognizes that the public welfare and interest of the city will be best served by the establishment of a Human Relations Commission. And whereas the City Council appointed a Blue Ribbon Committee on a Human Relations Commission, in parentheses BRC, as a task force to design recommendations for initiating a Human Relations Commission. And whereas the City Council desires that in carrying out its duties under this ordinance, such Human Relations Commission be guided and influenced by the recommendations by the BRC. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Asheville that Section 1, Article 3 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Asheville is hereby amended to add a new Division 14 to read as follows. Division 14, Human Relations Commission of Asheville. Section 2-185.23, Establishment and Purpose. A, the Human Relations Commission of Asheville, or HRCA, is hereby established pursuant to the authority set forth in NC General Statute 160A-492. B, the purpose of the Human Relations Commission of Asheville is to promote and improve human relations and achieve equity among all citizens in the city by carrying out the city's human relations program. The HRCA will prioritize racial equity and will work with city government and partner with communities, agencies in an effort and to ensure diversity, fairness, equity, and inclusion throughout the city. In furtherance thereof, the HRCA should endeavor to identify and assist in addressing all forms of individual, institutional, and community discrimination through education, advocacy, and policy recommendations. Section 2-185.24 definitions. A, human relations. Human relations shall mean those activities which promote human dignity, equitable opportunity and harmony among the many different residents who make up the population of the city. This definition shall include those activities and programs classified as promoting the general well-being of residents without regard to race, religion, national origin, disability, gender, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression in their daily activities. B, Human Relations Program. The City Human Relations Program is devoted to promoting human relations through the following. Variety of problems in the area of human relations. 2, the promotion of equality of opportunity for all citizens. 3, the promotion of understanding, respect, and goodwill among all citizens. 4, the provision of channels of communication among the races. 5, dispute resolution. 6, encouraging the employment of qualified people without regard to race, religion, national origin, disability, gender, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. And 7, encouraging youth to become better trained and qualified for employment. Do we have any volunteers to read section 2-185.25? Duties, membership, and rules of procedure.
I have a comment.
All right.
I know we can't put up a document where we have the capability to do that. If you're going to read something, we ought to be able to look at it while you're reading it in the future. I mean, we can't do it today. But reading it doesn't do any good if people are not looking at it if they're reading it. That's my opinion. In the future, we should be able to put that document up.
Yes, thank you very much. This is for the public who may not have access to computers to look these up, as well as to
Same statement.
bring
Same
back.
statement. We should have the document off.
Okay. Thank you. I hear that. Duties, membership, and rules of procedure. A, duties. The HRCA is charged with carrying out the Human Relations Program in accordance with the authorities set forth in the North Carolina General Statutes. And in doing so, its duties will include, but will not be limited to, the following. Number 1, make policy recommendations to the Asheville City Council which promote and improve human relations and advance equity in the city. 2, support the city's Office of Equity and Inclusion in its duties and responsibilities. 3, provide a forum where residents can raise and bring to the HRCA's attention issues and to human relations issues in the city. 4, engage the community and gather community input regarding the utilization of city-funded programs and policies for the promotion of human relations. 5, promote and improve human relations and advance equity in public safety. 6, promote and improve human relations and advance equity in educational, art, and cultural opportunities. 7, promote and improve human relations and advance equity in economic development in the city, including but not limited to city-funded economic development programs and opportunities. 8, promote and improve human relations and advance equity in health and human services in the city, included but not limited to city-funded health and human services programs. 9, promote and improve human relations and advance equity in housing in the city, including but not limited to working with the city and other agencies to enhance opportunities and programs related to affordable housing and to address issues related to gentrification. B, membership and appointment. Number 1, the HRCA shall be comprised of 15 members appointed by the Asheville City Council for staggered 2-year terms. All members must be residents of the city. Members may serve 2 full consecutive 2-year terms. Member removed at the discretion of City Council for good cause. 2, in appointing members to the HRCA, the Council should endeavor to use the following criteria. A, members should have demonstrated an interest and experience in human relations. B, membership should reflect the groups of individuals that the Human Relations Program is intended to assist and protect, including but not limited to individuals from different races, ethnicities, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic backgrounds, with the recognition that there will have to be members who meet more than one of the following. The City Council should endeavor to appoint individuals meeting the following criteria: 6 African American, 2 Latin AOX individual, 2 members of the LGBTQ community, 2 youth members between the ages of 18 and 25, 2 to 3 individuals who live in public housing, 2 individuals with a disability, and 3 individuals who are recognized as community leaders. C, council members shall appoint members who reside in all geographical areas of the city, i.e., council should appoint at least 1 member from each of the following: North Asheville, South Asheville, West Asheville, East Asheville, and the downtown area. C, rules of procedure. The HRCA shall adopt rules of procedure necessary for the proper discharge of its duty, which govern, among other things, the election of a chair and the conduct and time of its meetings. Sections 2-185.26-2-185.28 is reserved. Section 3, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is, for any reason, held to be invalid, such decisions shall not affect the validity of the remaining portion of this ordinance. The City Council hereby declares that it would have passed this ordinance and each section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase thereof, irrespective of the fact that any one or more sections, subsections, sentences, clauses, or phrases be declared invalid. Section 4. This ordinance is effective upon adoption, read, approved, and adopted this 10th day of April, 2018. City Clerk, Maggie Burleson, Mayor Esther Mannheimer, and City Attorney, that might look like your signature, Brad. It wasn't. All right, that's ordinance number 4663. As per the Human Relations Commission, we offer open discussion on the ordinance. That didn't really take all that much time. Offering 15 minutes for an open discussion on ordinance or any questions in relation to the ordinance itself. I yield my time. Councilwoman, Council.
This is Kim. I just wanted to ask, I've noticed that the ordinance is attached to the agenda. Will it stay attached to future agendas for members and the public to access easily?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. It will be on the standing documents part of the agenda. Councilwoman Rumi, did the ethics pass in the city council meeting?
That is correct.
And we'll be seeing some more. I'm sorry, we'll be seeing some more communication from the clerk's office about that as well this week, tomorrow.
Thank you. And how does that apply to this commission?
I can speak to that a little bit. It's an ethics policy for all board members, so all city-appointed boards and commissions, including the Human Relations Commission. So it's a policy for members as individuals to look at and to be respectful and acknowledge that those ethics policies.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Are there any questions in relation to the ordinance itself? I remember in the last meeting, there were a few people that were wondering what we are here for. And so I felt it important to bring in the original ordinance so that we can establish an understanding and alleviate any confusion as to what our scope is in relation to what our influence is and what we can bring to the city as a strong and powerful commission.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You opened the meeting with land acknowledgement. You also have a document attached to the agenda. Would you please tell people how that's related to what we're doing?
So we can, I'll just go ahead and address that if that's, I mean, it's a little bit off topic, but I know that that's something that you're passionate about, wondering we've had conversations about before.
Well, if it's off topic, am I staying accused? I want to know how it's aligned to the ordinance. Your opening statements and the document that you have attached to the agenda. I want to know how that relates to the ordinance. That's all. I think it's on topic. But if somebody disagrees with me, tell me that.
Right. In our conversation, you recommended that that I put up a document explaining what land acknowledgement was. So I was honoring your request in that, and that's why I put that document up there.
I wasn't asking just for myself. I think everybody on the committee here to be aware of that document and what you mean when you say land acknowledgement. I think we need to know that.
You're right. The document does go into a deep explanation of the importance of bringing in a land acknowledgement, and I actually went to Cherokee and spoke with some of the people in the museum, Don Arnett and the museum, who was the one that gave me the land acknowledgement that I read at the beginning of the meeting. So that came directly from the Cherokee Nation. It is important to honor the original peoples of the land, and since we are a Human Relations Commission, it's important to honor all citizens of this area and some of the people that have been impacted the most by the changes here through the hundreds of years. And so it is a movement that's growing, and something that many organizations here in Asheville do. And hopefully the city in and of itself begins to do land acknowledgements at the beginning of the meetings to honor the original peoples of this land.
Well, I won't ask you to take up a lot of this idea, but Brad, what I would ask you and Kim to do in the future, look at those documents and come back to the next meeting and tell us how they're aligned to what we're doing. I'm open to the possibility they're right on it. I think everybody here should know your response to that, Brad, especially you and Kim and Richard when he comes back. That's a long document. It's too long to deal with here. It's called Honor Native Land, the documents attached to the agenda at the bottom, the very last document.
Davis, you'll have to forgive me that sometimes your mic was going in and out of my ability to hear you. Can you restate your request for me as the liaison?
Okay, so to you, Brad, and Richard, I would ask you to look at the bottom document that's attached to the agenda. Come back and tell us from your perspective as a liaison, as the attorney, how that's aligned to what we have been charged to do. And I would ask Tanya to come back with more information in the same regard. And I'm not asking for myself. I think everybody here will need to know what we're getting into, because I think that's a loaded statement of how we open a meeting now. It's a new way to open a meeting. We never did that before. And I don't have a problem with it. I want everybody to understand what we're getting into.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I can do that.
Brad, can you do that for the next meeting?
Yes, absolutely. I've pulled that up now, and I'm more than happy to look over that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Into the plant's property. Now the bridge is being paid for.
Are there any more questions on the ordinance or any comments on the ordinance before moving on to our next agenda item?
Can I ask a quick question?
Please.
I was just wondering if we give room to open like that, do we also, or can other groups also make acknowledgements? You know, people of other descents that have other issues as far as that nature?
Can you give an example of that, please?
Like, will we be opening meetings saying acknowledgement that we have people who have had their land and a home stolen here in Asheville, or people who have been stolen from the continent of Africa and brought here slaves?
If you would like to write one up, I would definitely be interested in reviewing that, and maybe we can bring it into the meeting and figure out how we can also include that. That I actually thought about that as well, to deepen the land acknowledgement by inviting the ancestors of the land. I was like, man, that's just like, is that too woo or what? And I was like, how do I bring this to a place where it anchors the meeting by bringing in that connection to the people who are of the land. So I hear what you're saying, and I'd be interested in seeing you bringing something to the meeting that can address that as well.
Well, the difference is saying you brought that in without asking us about it. That's the difference. You brought that in on your own. that right?
Yep, the land acknowledgement did come from me. It
Okay.
did. I will own
Well,
that
now you
all
want-
day.
If anything else comes in, you want everybody else to be a part of it, is that right?
Well, I did do the land acknowledgement as a recommendation to lead the meeting, to anchor the meeting, as what was said in previous meetings have become so racially divided. And so I felt it important to anchor the meeting in the recognition of the original peoples of the land, so that we
was
can
your
all
choice.
join together.
That was your choice, I'm asking you in the future, invite us into that decision. Anybody wants to
I appreciate that.
open a meeting with acknowledgement as a standard, we should have it co-authored that. I did not. It's not to say that I'm wrong,
I
but I did
appreciate
not.
that. I appreciate that. Thank you. I invite you to join in when we create this agenda. And if you would like, we can work together on creating a really powerful agenda that encompasses all peoples of Asheville and the original peoples of this land. Are we ready to move on to our next agenda item? Do we have any staff updates?
Yeah, Richard was unable to be with us tonight, so I can give a quick update on what I know as far as the Director for Equity and Inclusion. On behalf of the City Manager's Office, I understand that they have went through the interview process, and now they're in the final stages of reviewing recommendations or calling references. So no final date yet, but they are in those final stages.
Thank you very much.
And
Sarah, I
additionally,
appreciate
I would also like to add, we will be moving back to in-person meetings. We're phasing them in, and we're looking at most advisory boards being able to meet in person starting in August. So this committee will likely be meeting in the first floor conference room, and we'll be sending out more information about what that looks like.
Yay! That's fabulous. Things are happening again in a good way. Wonderful. Commissioner Coit.
What will the policy on masks and like ventilation be in the rooms?
You want to leave her out there?
For the in-person meetings?
At this time, we are following CDC guidelines where masks are not required. However, completely respected if you choose to, and then, of course, being just conscious and distant as far as social interactions and just providing that safe space. But they are not required, but absolutely more than welcome to wear.
Thank you for that question. It's important.
Sarah, I have a question. Before COVID, all the committee members were given bus passes. Will they be doing that again?
Yes, definitely. I didn't realize that. I think that was just in the interim that maybe they didn't get to you guys in time. But yes, I will make a note, and we'll make sure we get those distributed in time.
Thank you.
Really good question, Commissioner Jones.
Yes,
thank you very much for that. Moving on to unfinished business, we do have unfinished business from the last meeting as it pertains to the previous agenda. This is addressed in the next agenda line item. This next agenda item relates specifically to our ordinance. These are things we have the power, influence to affect. Commissioner Noya?
Yes, I just wanted to, I wasn't sure if we were able to touch on the community concerns and complaints or not. But before we move on to unfinished business, I just kind of wanted to make a statement regarding our last meeting. And I'd like to start out by saying that I appreciate the work that every single member of this group has done for our community that has led us to be in this space working together, especially powerful Black leaders that have been invaluable to the community, because what lifts the Black community truly lifts us all, and I am forever grateful for your work. That being said, I'd also like to say that my participation in the HRCA is contingent on actionable steps being taken to address the abusive language that occurred last meeting, spoken by Ms. Venerable. And if anything has already been done to address this, it's not to my or any of our knowledge as far as I know. And releasing an ethics policy with no follow-up isn't sufficient to me. I'm only interested in working in a group that acts in good faith efforts to support our vulnerable communities that are at the intersection of all marginalized identities, prioritizing race, but including class, disability, gender identity, etc., as stated in the ordinance, regardless of any interpersonal conflicts that might be present within this group. I can't work within an environment that excuses toxic language and behavior, no matter who the person is, and I will go where my time and energy is most productive if communication doesn't improve. And as the only other Latina person in this group besides the chair, I'd like to step down from being secretary until I feel safe enough to proceed forward and that my words, my work, and my contributions are valued. So again, thank you all, and thank you, Dolores, for the work that you've done for Asheville, but this is what I need to continue in this space dedicated to improving human relations. Thank you.
May I
Thank
please
you, Commissioner
respond?
Noya.
I have spoken with city staff about this issue. It was a technical issue in which I was not able to control microphones or cameras. I apologize to the board. I have apologized to city staff, and it was not directed at one person. It was not directed at anyone. So I don't think, in fairness, that it was a form of a violent attack or anything of that nature. With that being said, I kind of feel some type of way myself being on this board at times, but I also know that the work is bigger than myself or any one person here. So, again, I apologize, and I don't want you to feel unsafe and safe, Ms. Noyes, because you've never had a chance to meet me in person, speak with me in person, or reach out to me about issues you had. So I would have appreciated that beforehand, but since not, I, again, I'm a bigger person, know how to apologize, and I know how to hopefully move on.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
So Melanie, does that satisfy you?
Like I said, I think moving forward, as long as I'm seeing the communication improves, kind of a time will tell type of deal. I appreciate the apology, and that definitely does help.
I just want to salute both of you because we've had some difficult moments here, and this is probably the most difficult one. And I want to support you two in being able to move forward in Hollywood County. You may have both come out at the free.
I hear that, and thank you, Mr. Jones.
Nothing and all them crooks and all that, it just lies about the succotash. Well, of course it was, you pinheaded.
I do feel comfortable moving on from here, though, just to make that clear.
Thank you. Thanks for both of you.
Thank you for speaking your truth, Commissioner Noyes. It shows a level of courage and brave soul to be able to speak truth in that way. Thank you all for speaking your truth, and thank you for your apology, Commissioner Venable. Much appreciated. It takes a lot of courage to apologize, and so thank you for that. Does everybody feel complete on that, or would anybody, any commissioners in here wish to speak to last meeting, or any city staff as well? Okay, moving on. This next agenda item relates specifically to our ordinance. These are things we have the power, influence to affect. We can call in training on the process of allocation of minority city contracts. We can call in training in city mandated equity and inclusion process. We can collaborate with the city to create a complaint form for residents to the city, recommend that to city council to implement. We can create an accountability pipeline for complaints process for City of Asheville, for city employees and resident complaints. Write a recommendation and bring that to city council for implementation. We can write recommendations regarding to LGBTQ discrimination, protections, and complaints process to the city. We can write recommendations in regards to ADA compliance and the complaints process to city council for implementation in the city. We can join together and create a volunteer mentorship program to support returning citizens within the city. We can work together to write recommendations relating to health equity. We can partner with the state to bring in statewide human relations commissions to Asheville. We can partner together to improve the equity of public safety and write recommendations for that to city council. We can write recommendations to city council and review policy for fair and equitable housing within the city. We can also write recommendations for environmental climate concerns to bring to city council. We have the influence to bring recommendations of policy in the city or ordinances that may lean towards an unequitable bias within the city. I'd like to invite this time to offer you the floor to bring in suggestions from the commission of things that we can collaborate on to bring to city council that reflects the mission and ordinance of the HRCA. And before we begin, I would like for you, Brad, to please explain the importance of working groups and what working groups are all about, and how we as a commission can bring in those working groups, and how those working groups can impact and affect our whole commission in a really positive way. Please, Beth.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm happy to do that. So we have discussed this in the past, but I am always here to answer any additional questions you have. The concept of working groups are essentially, by definition, any amount of or a number of the members of this or any other board that is less than the quorum. So let's start from there and remind you that you have a 15-member board, which means that up to 7 members, but probably the fewer the better, are able to meet and discuss the business of this board, either in potential work you want to do or actual items that you are already working on, without triggering the open meetings laws. It is very, very important that if the board, a quorum or higher get together, that all business be conducted in the public sphere so that we are transparent and open with any business that actually transpires. But because the quorum is the triggering number, you are actually able to get together in smaller groups to help work through some of the problems, issues, or functions that you wish to achieve as a committee. That allows you then to work out some details and bring back those proposals to this larger group on a much more efficient basis so that you don't have to spend your entire meeting working on individual projects. You can then, in other words, come back as working groups, make proposals, recommendations, or provide your findings or research to the full committee in a fully packaged and finished product. That should streamline your approach, and you can have multiple working groups functioning at the same time that can report back to the board at any given point and allow the board then to consider those things as a full body with a quorum present. Therefore, this allows you to form these if you choose. You are not required to have working groups, and you can have as many as you would like, so long as those working groups do not, again, get above the total number of a quorum. So always, always, always below 8 individuals, but you are able to do this officially. My suggestion to you would be that no votes be taken to form these. They should be informal. You can always ask who would like to be part of a working group. No vote needs to be taken, and you do not need to give them specific direction. Simply allow the working group to make suggestions, and if the board has no issue with them getting together to do that, they can simply proceed. But if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer those now.
Thank you, Brad. So just to kind of break it down, a working group is not quorum that can get together and do the research necessary to get to the bottom of something. So like if there's like a racist policy within the city ordinances, so somebody goes in there, finds that racist policy, pulls that racist policy out, and says we need to form a working group of about maybe 4 people to work and find out when the policy was written, what it pertained to, what surrounded the reasoning for the policy, and then write a recommendation to either strike the policy from the books or make an amendment to the policy itself, and then bring that to the main HRCA, the information that they have to the main HRCA, so that we can all discuss it and then take a vote on it. Is that correct?
I think that is generally correct, and you bring up something that's important for me to remind everyone, that the working groups themselves have no power in and amongst themselves. Their job would simply be to do some additional work to streamline the process, and then to bring it to the consideration of the full body to take action if they so choose to do so.
And one question, what would make the meeting more efficient? By bringing in an issue so that the whole meeting can discuss the issue together, or by bringing in working groups so the working group can do the work and then bring that work to the meeting?
You may find that on certain issues, it's more efficient not to have a working group. It's simply better, perhaps in some situations, just to bring it to the full board and have you discuss it. However, there are probably going to be instances where there needs to be some research done, as you mentioned. There needs to be some background done, or even simply working up a proposal. Oftentimes, smaller groups can get that work done outside of the actual committee meetings, and then allow you to review it in advance and then actually discuss it amongst the full body. So it's up to you, I believe, to decide in each individual case if it's going to be beneficial or not. As I said, you're not required to have working groups, but it is something you can use if you think it would save this group time and allow you to process things more quickly and work on things more efficiently.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Rooney?
Thank you. I wanted to make a recommendation that you could attempt a new business, old business item on the agenda, so that new business was where new ideas are presented, and bring in outside presenters or staff presentations, for example, or working group presentations, but not necessarily expect that there will be a vote during that meeting. Instead, that it would be circulated through the next meeting so that folks can have time to digest the information from what it was presented, and it might reduce some pressure in that moment. And that if there are going to be items added to the agenda less than a week out, it could benefit for there to be additional communication that new items are available on the agenda.
Thank you. That's a really great idea. I appreciate that. Definitely we'll bring that in. Brad, one more question. What would be an example of something that we could bring to the whole group versus something that would possibly need a working group for?
I think that that's a question that is going to be determined really on a case-by-case basis. And certainly there are situations where a great deal of background research needs to be done. That's tough for this group to do during the meeting. But certainly there are other situations where if a new idea is proposed, it may be very good to bring it to the full group for consideration and discussion before determining if a working group might be necessary. You may find that certain group members don't wish to proceed on a certain topic while others do. And determining if you have enough of a quorum to move something forward initially may be a good first step in determining if a working group would even be necessary. Certainly, this is something that I think the board should give consideration as a full group on each individual item. But again, you're not required to do this, but it is a tool available to you if you think it would be helpful.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Brad. I really appreciate you explaining that so eloquently and clearing up anything surrounding what working groups are and the need and maybe not so need for a working group on every single thing that we do. So I appreciate that. Moving on to our next agenda item, community announcements. I'd like to thank Commissioner Young for leading an initiative on making sure that the youth of Asheville High School were able to get their graduation packages covered. We didn't get a chance to, or you in the last meeting to bring that up. I thought that was pretty amazing that you were able to pull that together and do that in such a short amount of time. And the success of Juneteenth as well. Congratulations, Commissioner Young and Commissioner Devereaux. From what I saw, you guys did a great job. I was out of town visiting family at the time, so I hope to make it next year. And are there community announcements? Vice Vice Commissioner Oliver was also involved with Juneteenth, and congratulations on that and the success of the Juneteenth event. Are there community announcements? Commissioner Young, please.
Yes, this is not an announcement. This is something I think need to be put on the agenda as concerning the YMI for the getting the city to back the YMI with capital for our community. I know DeWanda had reached out to the city and she was turned down for backing. And I feel like the city is wasting their time. Like, I mean, they backing so much stuff, but the YMI needs support also. She reached out for help for Goon Bay. The city turned her down. And I think we need to put some pressure on the city for them to do right by the YMI. I mean, without the YMI, it wouldn't be no Hillcrest Enrichment Center. It wouldn't be no Mountain Biz work. It wouldn't be no stuff that's pertaining to the Black community here without the YMI. And I feel like if the city can't do right by the YMI, why is they helping every other organization besides the YMI? We need to ask questions why they're not doing it and what can be done. I think we got Goon Bay coming up. This is the 40th year. And she reached out for help for that and it was turned down. So I want to know what can we do to get some help. Put some leverage on the city to help them. I mean, they gave $52,000 for fireworks. And on the reels, the city really didn't donate nothing for Juneteenth. So why is we struggling asking for peanuts and everybody else is getting cake and ice cream? So what can we do? I mean, it's some bullshit. Excuse my language, but it's some BS. I mean, we need some help.
I'd like to salute you, Daniel, for going before the city council, and you recognize some of the city council members that supported Juneteenth, but also you asked them to come out and be with people. This is a small thing, but a very powerful thing. Ask city staff and city council members to be mixed up with people and engaged that can make the mix at a human level. And I salute you for that, and I would also like to take your idea and maybe get a subgroup together and start catching people doing the right thing also. You want to catch people doing the wrong thing. But catch people when they're doing the right thing and find a way to acknowledge that and support them. I'd like to start a subgroup to look at that in a more detailed way. Catching people doing the right thing. So I'm asking for somebody to join me in that endeavor. Daniel, you have to say yes.
Yes, I'll join you. I want to ask Brad and Councilwoman Rona, what can we do to get some support for the YMI? I mean, I really do appreciate the city for what they're doing, but I know we need to do more. I mean, the YMI need help. It's a lot of stuff that need to be done, and for us to even move forward with any kind of reparations, the YMI should be in that conversation. Should have been on that conversation.
Commissioner Young, I may be able to, and I don't know if Councilwoman Roney is with us still. I think she may have had to leave, but if she's not, I don't mean to step in front of her. But I did hear some of the conversations going on between Ms. Little and some of the city management following our last city council meeting. And I believe what they have suggested is that we may have some opportunity to provide some assistance. I can't speak for that right now, but they have asked that she reach out to our new CFO, Tony McDowell, on that, and we are exploring some options right now. So I believe that conversation is happening.
So how do we make sure this happens?
You're getting beyond what I can talk to now, and that's actually a council decision on monies being spent. So that would be a conversation that would be at the decision level of the council, but I believe that the city staff is currently looking at some options that could be proposed.
Okay. That's cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I was wondering about
regarding.
Sorry.
Thank you. Question regarding scope. is it within the scope of the commission to ask or to create a recommendation with in regards to allocation of city funds to the city? So if we were to create a recommendation for the city to allocate funds to the YMI, is that well within our scope, or is funds outside of our scope and we're more of like a policy a commission?
Madam Chairman, I would say that the ordinance that created the HRCA here in Asheville, which you've read at the beginning of this meeting, does allude to several very high-level areas that this board is supposed to focus on. Now, the very first one is policy recommendations that promote and improve human relations and advance equity within the city. Generally speaking, those policy decisions are going to be defined by the spending and the budgetary allocations behind them in many cases. And what I mean by that is that you would oftentimes recommend policies that would have a budgetary implication. You may not go probably down granular enough to say that you would suggest X number of dollars be spent on any initiative, but certainly you can make a policy recommendation that says this is something I believe the city should be supporting in its annual budget. Only the city council has final authority over most budgetary expenditures unless it's been delegated down to staff. And we do have a finance committee that specifically reviews and makes recommendations on financial contributions. But certainly by determining or suggesting or advising the kind of policy directions that you would like to see the council move, I think that that has a budgetary implication, if that makes sense.
Thank you very much, Brad. Commissioner Venable?
Yes, I was wondering about something. Before the pandemic, we were also dealing with the minority business office. And one of the things that I think might be beneficial on our board is knowing what the business numbers for Black businesses and minority-owned businesses have been here during the pandemic. I've seen the creation of a lot of small business, but I'm wondering how many of those businesses have been able to do business with the city of Asheville, especially during the pandemic. So I'm having some audio issues, so excuse the drag on.
I think I really appreciate what you shared, Commissioner Venable, and I believe that we might be able to set up for Rosanna to come into the meeting, the next meeting, and speak. I do remember last year she did come in and speak, and so I wonder if maybe when she comes in to speak this time that we have directed questions that we can present to her to maybe present on that address any questions that might come up in the meeting. So you'd be interested in that, and then I can reach out to her and then maybe invite her to come into our next meeting and explore those questions that you just brought.
Thank you.
In follow-up to Lois's question, could we get a document, an answer report on the progress of the priority on the disparity initiative or contracting out? There must be a document that we could get a hold of, like a forest card or something. That's a question to Brad, you know?
Yeah, I believe that. I'm not exactly sure what documentation we do have, but certainly we have some information about the status of that. That is something that I believe that our Office of Business Inclusion could provide an update on, perhaps at your next meeting. And if a document does not exist, perhaps they could prepare something in the form of a presentation to provide to you.
Well, I'm saying, could we just get one sheet of paper telling us what happened in terms of the minority contracts that were issued and get it on a regular basis?
I don't see why not. That's certainly something I think that we do keep records on. So I believe that's something that could be easily provided to you if that's a request of the board.
Another question that just popped in my mind, and I won't ask any more questions about it. Is it possible that we could have a meeting at the YMI? On that regular meeting at the YMI?
Yes.
So you're actually asking two different questions there. The first is, I think, are you legally able to have a meeting there? And that answer is yes.
Okay.
You can have your meetings wherever you want. We do need to, because this is a public meeting, go through the process of officially noticing it to the public of not just when it will be, but where it will be. And you always want to think about making sure you provide a space that's not just adequate for your purposes, but for anyone who would want to come and watch and be in attendance. I would also defer you to perhaps some additional city staff who may not be here. If we are still wanting to stream these live, we need to make sure that we have the technological capabilities to be able to do that. But other than the technical part, I would certainly say that legally you can. But I would advise that you work with city staff on the other logistical concerns.
The advantage to that is there's some things that people must see to appreciate what the YMI is up against structurally. Structurally, there's about 15 years of life left in the building, but I'm told. And that financial decision we have to go to, given that building life, the life that I think it deserves. I heard there's about 15 years of life left in that building structurally. If you walk around the back of that building, you could tell. Okay, thank you.
I believe Commissioner Hoyt had their hand raised before.
No, I'm good. That was an accident. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. And I wonder if it's possible that we can bring somebody from the YMI to bring a presentation so that we can have an idea in the commission and then offer that to the public of what the YMI does. And I think that would be a nice neutral way to bring in information as well as highlight the YMI to the city and city officials in the city, so people can come and see that. So we can look to set up a presentation for the YMI in the next meeting as well. I think that might be a good way to bring in awareness and information.
Hello, everyone. This is Tiffany. I think that's a great idea. And I know Dewana would love to be able to bring a presentation to the commissioners. Another thing, too, I love the idea of actually taking it out to community. But I also wanted to go back to what Commissioner Young had mentioned as far as how can the Human Relations Commission support the next event, which is Goombay that's coming up. And I know, as you mentioned, Brad, we can't actually make it a thing for now as far as making it a policy change. But what we can also look at is the fact that maybe not this year, but for the years to follow, we could make it a policy change as far as the support for Black events so that the city could be on board with all the resources that's necessary.
I think those are really wonderful suggestions, Commissioner Tiffany Double. And I love that. That's what I'm talking about. Thinking ahead and establishing that foundation. I wonder if we can, by the time Goombay comes around, bring in HRCA tent with information and maybe some buttons or something that we can crowdfund for, or something like that, to of the HRCA to the community as well, and then also set up the foundation for community funding for Goombay and Juneteenth for next year. I think those are really great suggestions and possible. And so our next, do we feel complete? Is everybody complete on those suggestions and concerns? Continuing on with community announcements. Do we have any community announcements that we would like to bring to the public today? Okay, for our next agenda item, public comment. Has anybody brought in any emails or anything that we can read aloud and address for the meeting?
We did not receive any in the inbox.
Thank you, Sarah. Commissioner Clark?
I'm sorry, that was I was moving my screen around. That was an accident.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Quinn. Did anybody receive any emails on their own from the public that they would like to read aloud at this time? All right, Commissioner Noya.
This isn't directly related, but the last couple city council meetings regarding public comment, there hasn't been any opportunity for people to phone in and give comment remotely. And I have heard from several people in the community that they would like for this to continue to be an option for accessibility reasons. So I would like to know if other folks in this group support maybe recommending to City Council that they continue the option for virtual live comment for folks that are working and can't make it on time, have other accessibility issues, and what your thoughts are on that.
Is this for this specific meeting or for City Council?
No, this is more for City Council, but it's related to public comment. So it's kind of sort of unrelated, but sort of still. And maybe for our commission too, moving forward, if we would still to offer that option for people.
Sarah, would you like to speak on that?
It's certainly a recommendation that the board can make. I can say on the staff side, we are exploring what that can look like moving forward. I don't know that we have the ability at this time, but it is something we're trying to make happen.
Okay, so there's steps already being taken to make sure that people can still tune in and comment virtually at City Council meetings.
Looking into and keeping in mind that the council, we're going to have one more council meeting at the Harris building, and then we'll be back in the chamber. So again, looking at the equipment and how we can make that happen. So I can't promise anything, but I know it's something staff is looking into how we can make it work.
Could I have just a little bit of clarity on, I guess from you, Melanie, the question? Are you asking the Human Relations Commission to put out recommendation to City Council for City Council meetings or for Human Relation Commission meetings?
Yeah, it's kind of a two-part ask. Like, do y'all support continuing or implementing, because I don't know if we've actually done it, live public comment in the Human Relations Commission? Do you support that moving forward? And also, do people support a recommendation to City Council that they continue virtual public comment?
Oh, okay, that I hear you. As far as I'm concerned, just to speak out loud, it's just for one, hearing Sarah, this isn't a thing that's been going on. It was just a short-term piece that's small and it's going back to the original way. I don't know if it's the best use of our energy to make a recommendation about City Council. And quite frankly, do we even have enough people to say we want a recommendation for Human Relations Commission? Because we don't even have people who want to make public comment. So I don't know if I support that.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
This time I am actually raising my hand on purpose. So yeah, I wanted to add, I think this is a great opportunity to do a working group, and I'd like to do that. I think there's lots of research. There are many different reasons. There's accessibility insofar as limited mobility. There is accessibility in poverty. There are so many different reasons where opening up the option to also call in, it can make a real difference. And to be completely honest, I don't know why we haven't been doing this historically. Unrelated, but also related, the ability to do virtual doctor's appointments over the last year for my daughter who's disabled. A lot of her doctors are many hours away, and when you're poor or you don't have a reliable car, or just getting her out of the house can be incredibly difficult. Whether the doctor's appointment is 10 minutes away or 3 hours away, it can be a big hurdle to get through. And previously, I had actually asked many of her doctors, and she has Medicaid, and I was always told that Medicaid wouldn't allow for virtual appointments. And it was very strange to me that the second everyone else's health was an issue, all of a sudden the state allowed for virtual appointments. But previously, when her health, my health, were only the issue in question, this state was like, no, we don't do that. But then just all of a sudden, like a light switch, all of a sudden it was an option because everyone else was affected. So I would love to have a working group about this and be able to present all of the list of options and maybe get some feedback from the community, from people who have been available to attend meetings and speak to council purely because there was the option to call in.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Coy. I really appreciate the insight and the importance of having a call-in, and that is an inclusive thing. I often wonder why we didn't have it either, and I think it's because we're such a young commission that maybe the call-in option is more established commissions. So maybe that might be something that we can bring in and also create a recommendation for City Council. I would love to see both you and Commissioner Noyes join together to write a recommendation to do that, and then maybe we can bring that to the group next meeting. And I thank you for your service, both of you, for bringing that in, and thank you, Tiffany Debola, for your wisdom and insight. We've got about 4 minutes left. Would anybody like to bring in a closing comment? Sarah?
I just wanted to note that all of our advisory boards and commissions did not have live call-in comments, and that is honestly due to a staff capacity. It's another role, and as you know, we have a lot of committees, so we just weren't able to make that happen. But as we're moving back to in-person and we're allocating our resources, we're looking at options and trying to get creative.
Thank you for that. That makes a big difference. So I appreciate that a lot.
Someone asked me.
Commissioner
I'm sorry.
Devereaux. Go ahead.
Great job on time management.
Please continue, Commissioner Venable.
Yeah, someone asked me in the public a couple weeks ago, was the Blue Ribbon Committee dissolved?
I can answer that. Yes, it was, because it was created as a task group that would dissolve upon that recommendation to create the HRCA.
Thank you. I will relay that back.
I did have a last comment question. I wanted to see how we could move forward and support the reparations committee. Well, there's not a committee, but I wanted to make sure that the Human Relations Commission has a voice in choosing the reparations committee for the city of Asheville. And I know that would have to be a recommendation, but I'm not sure, so that's my question. How can we have a voice to support who is chosen for the reparations commission as we move forward? And the commission has not been set yet. Not sure who has the answer, but I guess I'll just throw it to Brad, Sarah, and Madam Chair.
I may be able to provide some input on that. There's no direct avenue, I think, to provide that recommendation. However, what I would say is that these are going to be made by the city council in support given by the city manager. So what I would suggest is that you make your suggestions directly to the city council, and you can certainly do that through your liaison, Councilwoman Roney. And that's what I would suggest is the most efficient way to bring that recommendation up.
Thank you, Brad. That's perfect. And I'll get with the working group for reparations and we'll move forward.
Commissioner Tony Devereaux and Brad and Sarah, within relation to, I love the collaboration and not competition, because when we collaborate together as boards and commissions, our voice is louder as a collective. And I think that is a really powerful thing that you bring in. And also, I was wondering, could we even introduce, if it's not possible to help in with the appointments and for the Reparations Commission, to maybe appoint a liaison to the Reparations Commission from the Human Relations Commission, so that we can help support the Reparations Commission when it comes in, and then we can come in and thank you, Commissioner Weinbrenner, so we can support the Reparations Commission with whatever initiatives that they bring in. Is that a possibility? Is that something that can be done?
I think that is absolutely a possibility. I would make the same recommendation to provide that directly to your council liaison, and that can be considered by the council as well as the city manager's office through that communication link.
Thank you. That's a great response. I just want us to be intentional, because we can also look at how city council does appointments, and things aren't always the best that they can be. So I think us as a human relations commission, we should and need to be on that platform to make sure that there's fidelity. So thank you all.
Appreciate it. It's important to bring that in. All right. We are at adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Second. Awesome. Do we roll call vote, Brad?
Yes, please, if you would.
All right, roll call vote. Motion to adjourn. We have a second on the table. Commissioner Melchor.
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Noyes. Yes. Commissioner Coy.
Yes.
Vice Chair Oliver. Thank you. Commissioner Venable.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Chandler.
Yes.
Commissioner Tiffany Devereaux.
Yes.
And I thank you very much for being here tonight. We look forward to seeing you in our next Human Relations Commission, City of Asheville. If you would like to reach out by public comment, please send your email to the Department of Equity and Inclusion, and or our chair, our commission liaison, City Council member Kim Rooney. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a great night, and see you next month.